the year after,
Yeah.
we had the worst luck of my entire life.
Totally.
And
I think it was so bad that you made your own bad luck, but
it could have been. I started generating bad luck from this. It was so this next story is a story that you hear about it, but you don't ever believe it. And we have the proof here today. So Levi, I'm going to let you start this story from your perspective because all I feel is anger on the inside.
I understand it. It's been a couple of years, but I can understand.
We've broken this bad luck, so it's kind of behind us, but it's really not.
Well, no, you were successful this year.
This year, I was successful this year. The bad luck's been broken,
totally,
but I still have animosity towards this situation and this story.
It's completely understandable. So to paint the picture, we're going out for an early morning hike. I think it was like a Saturday morning. Or
I'm going to sound like such an idiot with this.
No, you're okay, buddy. You're okay, but it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. I would like to preface this. I have not made a bad shot on an animal since I was probably 14, 15 years old until this story. Continue.
So early morning, we're going out one of our favorite spots. It's a beautiful area. Going out there early in the morning. The wolves are howling all around us. Mm-hmm. Tyler's walking in front of me because I want the wolves to eat him first. That's kind of how it goes. And so I think we've been hiking and just glassing for about 3 to 4 hours. When all of a sudden you spot something. And I can't remember if this buck was bedded down or not.
It was moving. It was moving up through the trees. We were too far for a shot. We were like 700 yards.
Yeah.
But it was moving into this patch of trees. And so we were trying to get in front of it.
Sure.
And then when we spotted that doe that was bedded down.
Yes.
So we knew it had to have been heading towards that doe.
So we spot those doe, and Tyler spotted the buck as well. And so we kind of move up this ridge to get into position. And I would say at the ridge where you set up, 350 yards, 300 yards?
Yeah, maybe closer. Maybe. I think you're giving me the benefit of the doubt. I think let's say 275. All right,
let's say 3. Oh. Okay, let's say 3.
Okay, 300.
Let's say 3. And so we see the doe. You know, they're coming out. They're feeding a little. Some are going back and bending down. Mm-hmm. At this point, I think it's like 11 or 10 or 11. And you got a chance to really set up. Like, you got comfy.
We probably had 45 minutes of us watching these doe bedded down, knowing that a buck is coming towards them in the forest.
Yeah.
And knowing that he's going to pop out in this open gap.
Yeah, you got cozy.
I got cozy. I got rocks laid out in front of me. Yes, I got rocks underneath my shoulder. Yes. I got my tripod set up. I only needed to pull the trigger.
Totally. And so I'm excited because the whole time you're like, I've never had this great of light before. Yeah. And I was like, shoot, man, this is awesome. I was like, this is going to be sick. I was also like, damn, man, we're pretty far out here, but whatever, it'll be fine. Whatever, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it would have been a tough pack.
For sure.
It ended up being the easiest pack.
Don't ruin the story, Tyler.
Sorry.
So anyways, after, you would set up for 45 minutes. I'm right behind you with my binoculars, just looking. And then you see this buck, decent size, pop out. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, man, I'm going to shoot. And I'm like, hell yeah, bro. I'm just like, all right, let's do this. Mm-hmm. And I hear, you have to correct me. I don't know if I remember. I hear one shot. And
So one shot I missed.
Yes, missed
completely missed.
Yes.
And I even looked at you and was like, what? What is going on?
And I was kept looking. The deer stayed there. The buck stayed there. He didn't move. And I was like, all right, cool. And you're like, all right. So you reload. Mm-hmm. You do it again. And then we hear.
Boom. The perfect boom.
You
impact.
Hear this would have been my first time actually hearing a bullet hit a deer.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, of course that hit the deer.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right.
And I was
it's a sound that cannot be replicated. Yeah. It's a hollow sound.
But I was just still looking, and I was like, wait, something doesn't seem right. And then you go to reload again, you're like, because you think 100%, you're like, I got that deer. And then he fell so hard.
He smashed to the ground. Yeah. I thought, this is a done deer.
And then you look at me and you're like, bro, Levi. You're like, there's another deer. And I was like, huh? And you're like, but this deer only has one antler. And I'm right behind you, and I'm just peeping. And I'm like, hey, Tyler, I think that's your deer. So
in my mind, I'm thinking maybe, but either way, you have to shoot it because I don't know if it's my deer.
Yeah.
I can't shoot a second deer in case it's not my deer.
Totally.
So you need to shoot it so I can piece together this deer when I get to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was even upset because I was like, you should have shot that buck. You should have, because I was thinking in my head, there's no way that that's not my buck.
Yeah.
Or there's no way that that is my buck. And I killed my buck.
And when we're hunting, like I'm always like, you're right. Cause he's like, you're the professional.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I have nothing set up. Like there was one buck, like this was yours. I was like, that's your buck, man.
I thought this buck just jumped out of nowhere. I thought there was a brand new buck. We did have a ton of deer that popped out of nowhere after the shot.
Totally.
They all of a sudden emerged on the hill.
Totally. They were hiding in the trees and the bushes to the left.
And so I thought, this is another buck, and he's just as big as the one I shot.
Just as big. And
we
so
have two giant
grab your
bucks.
stuff. You're like, stay here. Like, guide me to the spot. And I was like, all right. So you left. I had to take a poop. So I took a poop. But I forgot toilet paper. So I had to cut open some of my game sacks and wipe my game sacks. So,
good thing we didn't shoot 2 deer.
Exactly. No. Just one game sack, man. I might have not wiped great. But that happens when you're hunting.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get down there. And then I get the phone call. You're like, yeah, I shot his antler off. And I was like, yeah, dude, I know you did.
And this is the antler.
Voila.
This is the antler, folks. Such a cool buck, too. He's got that extra tine coming out. And he was perfectly even on both sides. It's such a bummer. But yeah, shot right at the base. Yeah. I followed this buck's blood trail for a long time because he had a tiny, when you shoot an antler off, they still got blood vessels coming up through the antler.
You started following the blood trail. I caught up with you maybe an hour later, and then we kept searching for I think 2 more hours until I just whined enough to be like, dude, we lost the blood trail. It's 2 feet of snow. Let's go. And you're like, we will be out here forever. And I was like, no, dude. Like when you get something in your head, you're going to do it. And I'm just like, bro, like this isn't happening today, man.
I mean, this buck, I've never seen a deer go down so fast. And I should have known.
Sure.
I should have known that deer don't go down like that. And it even it flopped to the side. Like if you hit a deer through the heart, sometimes they go boom, straight down.
Sure.
This deer flopped to the side. And I thought, oh man, that deer is done.
I really killed that guy. Yeah.
And totally. I know now I hit the antler and it knocked it unconscious probably for a second.
Talk about like such a well-placed shot.
Oh yeah.
Right at the base?
Yeah. What a bummer would have been if I didn't get some of this base.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like
that's why this is the easiest pack out of our lives.
Yeah, it was 100%. No, I still have, I have like photos of you holding this up.
It kills me, man. It kills me.
I know it still kills you.
Like I still think about it right now and I still think I should be going after that buck still. I know. I should still be in the mountains chasing that blood trail.
Yes.
And when we say blood trail, this thing is not wounded. It is totally fine. This was a drop. This is very deep snow. And this is a drop of blood every 100 yards. I could find a drop of blood because I was able to follow his tracks in the snow. He separated from the herd. I could follow his tracks and just see this one little dot of blood trail every once in a while.
I followed your tracks and then I'd be like, oh wow, like he's tracking this thing really good because there wasn't that much blood, and obviously the further we went, the less and less, and then it was all gone.
We found out what happened later as I was hiking, and I still don't know how this happens, but it happened. My turret on my scope, which I'm not used to having a turret on my scope, slowly had been spinning, and I had adjusted it. I had grabbed it and spun it back to 0. And I think I needed to do an entire another revolution around back to 0. I thought there's no way it would have spun that far. And I just moved it to closest 0 and then got really comfy getting ready to shoot.
You don't normally mess with that, correct?
No.
In the past.
So, okay, I have a buddy of mine who is a long distance shooter.
Yes.
And that's what
he sold me my gun.
Yeah, exactly. And he thrives on the long distance shooting.
Totally.
I have never had a scope that I needed to adjust anything. I know that I know that I'm shooting within 500 yards at the very most, and I know where my mil dots need to go on this.
Sure.
I had so much time to think about the shot placement on this that I was sitting there dinking around with it, adjusting it just to what I thought it should be. And so I actually adjusted it too high, even though it was an entire revolution around. So it was shooting feet above where it was supposed to be shooting, and I didn't know it. And I had all this time to set up and make a horrible shot.
Yeah.
So the first shot right over its back. And the second shot, I was like, maybe I need to aim a little higher, and shot again, and then shot its antler off.
All that to say, it's something that haunts you to this day.
It's brutal, man.
I know, but it's still a spectacular memory for me.
Yeah. It's not a good memory for me.
I know, but it's just yeah, but it was still a good memory.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Well, I'm glad we get to tell the story.
No, it's good because we've told this story to numerous people, and
now I don't have to tell it anymore. I can just send this video out.
Yeah, you just send this podcast out.
Here, if you want the story,
yes,
you can watch me in pain
yes,
tell it on this podcast.
Yeah.